James Degale lost his IBF super-middleweight title after a stunning upset by underdog Caleb Truax. Getty James Degale marked his comeback with a shock defeat. The Britishborn fighter was expected to cruise past the American challenger in his comeback fight after 11 months out. But he was well below his best as he suffered the second defeat of his career by majority decision. Truax was given no chance, with bookmakers having him as wide 161, but the Minnesota man put it on the defending champion from the first bell and rarely relented. Degale, who needed shoulder surgery following his January draw with Britishborn, looked sluggish and still didn't throw out his southpaw jab enough despite his pre-fight promise that he would look better than ever. The salt in the wound for Degale was old rival George Groves, who beat him in 2011, posting on Twitter that it was time for his former amateur club teammate to retire. Degale said, "I rushed back. Maybe I should have waited till next year. I haven't boxed at a high level for such a long time. I will go back to the drawing board. I thought I won it. We will have to go back and look at it." Anthony Joshua's hotties that spice up ringside. Degale was being lazy and looked ring rusty as he allowed Truax to continue to press forward. This was Degale's first fight back on home soil since 2014, but the big return fell flat from the off. The atmosphere inside the Copper Box in London was minimal even when the 2008 Olympic gold medalist walked out in his home city. In fact, the crowd would only really get behind the man when they realized he was in trouble rather than roaring for him from the opening bell. Degale did look promising in the first and his right hook suggested that shoulder surgery had been spot on. But it would prove to be his best 3 minutes by far. Through the opening round, Truax's corner roared at the man to throw more right hands. He was hesitant in the first, but once he started letting them go in the second, they would prove to be his best weapon all night. Degale was being lazy and looked ring rusty as he allowed Truax to continue to press forward without moving his head to avoid the American's rather basic attacks. There were warning signs early on that it wasn't going to be an easy night for the homecoming hero, but in the fifth it was made clear he was in big trouble. Getty James Degale struggled despite being long odds-on favorite. Getty James Degale took a hammering in round 5 which swung the course of the fight. Truax rocked Degale with a huge right before lashing in a combination as the defending champion tried to cover up on the ropes. A lot of the challenger's shots were landing on gloves, but, crucially, the last few in his combinations would breach Degale's guard and register. Blood poured from the Londoner's nose and he rarely popped out his jab, which suggested those 2 injuries from the Jack fight had not healed properly. Degale started to improve as Truax tired, but he wasn't throwing enough still, as even when he had success, he would let the Minnesota man out of trouble. The 11th was his best since the first and he probably won the 12th, but it was not enough. British judge Dave Paris gave it as a draw at 114,114, his last fight in this country as an official, while Benoit Roussel had it 115,112 and Alex Levin scored it 116,112 from the deserved winner. Truax only started boxing to pay off his student loans, but he has surpassed his wildest dreams now. Related articles.